Okay, welcome to the official start of Chapter 3. First thing we're going to do is actually use the sparks that we've been sort of, I guess I don't need to do this, getting along the way. I think I have 10 or 11 of them. 11. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and use those. Again, we've completed stamina, martial arts, survival. We've done all of the staff stances, as well as these little items over on this side. The smash stances, the pillar stances, and the thrust stances all completed. Mysticism is done. Let me check that. Nope, not done. So let's go ahead and complete that. I never used Spellbinder, which is why I didn't think about these. Okay, so now they're all really done. Let's try that again. Ring of Fire I don't use either. Okay, now they're all done. Alteration. I don't tend to use Rock Solid, but may as well complete it, since I sort of promised I was going to complete them all. And since I have one left, I need two to I can do this one. Okay, so we've unlocked that. We're going to progress through this. There are a lot of enemies. Some are real and some are not. They're like these frozen guys. They do hit kind of hard, like this guy, right? If you lock on, that'll tell you whether or not they're just statues or whether or not they're actually real. And so if I'd moved a little bit closer to him, he would have awakened. But I usually just kill them before they awaken. It makes life a lot easier. If you fight them as they're dying, they will take a few swipes. And it can injure you, but you're not likely to die from getting swiped by any of these guys. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that, because in my first playthrough, I died. Because I'm so sort of over-leveled, it doesn't happen. So you can actually fight them. But it's just quicker, and I'm guessing some people will simply run past all of these guys. But again, you always get some reward for breaking things or for killing things. And while I don't really need to level up anymore, it's just a habit. So that means I'm going to kill everything I can kill, at least the first time through. If I have to go through it again because I managed to die, then I wouldn't actually kill them all again. The problem with leaving them alive, although these guys won't chase you too far, some of the enemies in the game will chase you pretty far. And then you end up with this whole gang of people hunting you down. Like this guy, you can't lock on him, so he's not going to awaken if I run past him. But if you break him, you still get something. You get 9 of these little will thingies. Like I said, first time through, like this guy. He's going to take a couple of swings and then die. Okay, so at some point I discovered that my audio from the game wasn't actually being played. And so I decided to record voiceover for this section of the game. So that we would not have you have to watch through an hour and a half of me doing total voiceover. So what I've decided to do is to cut out all of the exploring. Okay, we have a boss. By the way, that's the Macaque Chief, one of the bosses that you'll see. I've just decided to cut out all of the exploring and move to showing you just the boss fights, so that you can at least see some of the progress. The Macaque Chief is a character that you're going to meet up with 2 or 3 times, actually more than 2 times, 3 or 4 times during the course of the game. So you will see the Macaque Chief. He's not a difficult boss. More annoying than anything else. Later, he's a little bit more difficult than he is at this particular stage. It's the first time you're facing him. The next time you face him won't be difficult either. I think the only time he's difficult is the final time that you actually fight him. Interesting fight, but he's not dead. Okay, with the Macaque Chief down, the next boss, and this is in Mirror, is Kang Jen Long. Once you step out onto the ice, she will appear. But as long as you're exploring along the ridges of the lake, frozen lake, you'll be okay. And this boss is a little bit more difficult only because the hitboxes are extremely odd. Because it's a large boss, she flies around quite a bit. She's a lightning-based boss. There are quite a few lightning-based bosses in the game. And so, a lot of the issue with this fight is you really do have to just keep moving and wait for your opportunities to be able to land a strike on her tail or something along those lines. Okay, this is annoying. She can be stunned. Once she's stunned, you can get a little bit more damage in because she'll lie down for a little while before getting back up. Her movesets are somewhat predictable after the first minute or so of fighting her. In the latter phase, she does a few things a little bit different, but for the most part, it's the same sort of moves. And even using Immobilize is difficult because you have to catch her when she's on the ground and not in the air. That's a stun. And I wish I was on the other side, the opposite side of the side that I'm on now, because I would have gotten a few more hits in. And there are a number of giant bosses in the game. Actually, I'm trying to think, is the majority of the bosses giants or not? The majority of the bosses are bigger than the Destined One's character, but they're not all giants. After all, the Destined One is a monkey, and so he's really not that big. Yeah, there's equipment that you could use to minimize the shock damage that the lightning does. There's also, in addition to armor, there's a curios that you could use that would also minimize the shock damage. I'm not using either because the armor that I'm using is sort of the one of the 2 or 3 best armor sets in the game. So, and my character is pretty shock resistant. You know, thanks to leveling up using mind cores. Yeah, that little spin move will always sort of loop you into the air. And with that, Kang Jinlong is no more.
Yeah, the big bosses, and there are a few of them. their hitboxes are just so weird.
And with my defeating Kang Jinlong, I ended up getting sort of tossed through the lake, washed up on another shore. And this area is the Pagoda Realm. The Macaque Chief is going to come back, but we're not going to fight. He's just going to knock me out. When you awaken, you'll awaken in the Pagoda Realm, which is a multi-level area where you have to work your way up from the bottom. But in order to unlock all of the gates, you have to actually defeat a boss that's at a lower level. There's another boss at the top, and you'll see these 2 bosses. The first one that you're going to see coming up is Captain Lotus Vision.
Yeah, but they're very friendly because they just let me get out. There are a whole bunch of different types of enemies in this game.
There are lots of enemies, but only 2 bosses in this section of the game. Again, Captain Lotus Vision is another shock-based boss, as is the next boss. I did die to this boss when I was fighting him the first time. And I died to him because of the lasers that he tends to use. Those were the lasers that killed me the first time I fought him. If you move around quite a bit, you can dodge most of his attacks. and he only uses the projectile attacks. He doesn't like hit you or anything like that. So it's a different kind of boss fight than the bosses that you will have had fights with earlier in the game. Yeah, the teleportation thingy is also quite annoying, but not a difficult fight overall if you're equipped properly and you figure out that you need to keep moving constantly. The next boss is at the very top of the pagoda in an area called the Mani Wheel, Mani Wheel. Also, not a difficult boss fight, large boss. In this particular case, you have a weak point that you should attack on his legs. If you do that enough times, he will be stunned and you'll be able to attack his head, which is his weak point, which is his real weak point. This is the second of the 4 captains that you have to meet up with in order to complete the quest, an earlier quest. You could, when he's doing that attack, use the pillar stance. And most of those will miss you. I did not do that. He will also electrify the whole floor, and that would be a good time to use the pillar stance as well. It won't stay electrified for very long. Those little areas you can avoid by simply moving away from the spots on the ground that are glowing. This is the part where you would need to use the pillar stance. And with that, Captain Y's voice is no more. Well, all of the captains are in this chapter. They're not all in the same place. So they're not all here in the Pagoda Realm. 2 are. One is near Longevity Road, and one is at the entrance to, or near the entrance to, Thunderclap Temple. And the final boss fight in this video is the Macaque Chief.
From the beginning of this chapter. The Macaque Chief. The guy in the circle is the guy who enhanced our board earlier in the game, in chapter 1.
So this is the, I guess, officially the second real time that you're actually fighting him. Since we're not counting his knocking me out to get me into the Pagoda Realm as one of the fights. Eventually, he will become a transformation that you could use. And he's an ice-based boss. Okay, and with that, we're going to wrap this video up, technical faults and all, and hopefully when we return, we will have a fully functioning setup so that you get full audio, game audio, and voice audio at the same time. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for joining me, and again, my apologies for this particular snafu. I unfortunately ended up recording a ton of content. I guess I should have checked, but I used the same setup from before, and it worked. So I'm not quite sure what went wrong this time. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys again soon. Take good care. See you next time.